The rain hammered against the windows of the Royal Bank Tower in downtown Vancouver as Catherine Morrison, my late sister's estate lawyer, locked her office door behind me. She pulled the blinds shut and slid a small brass key across her mahogany desk. "Your sister left very specific instructions, Robert," she said quietly. Her hands were shaking. "This is for safety deposit box 447 at the main branch. She said you must go alone," she said. Catherine paused, choosing her words carefully. She said, "Don't tell Jennifer. Not yet. Not until you've seen what's inside." My girlfriend Jennifer. The woman I'd been planning to propose to next month. The woman who'd held my hand through every chemotherapy appointment during my sister Margaret's final 9 months. Why would my sister warn me about her? "I don't understand," I said, picking up the key. It was cold and heavy in my palm. "Neither do I," Catherine admitted. But Margaret was insistent. Even when the morphine made her confused about everything else, she was crystal clear about this. She made me promise 3 times. Robert goes alone. He doesn't tell Jennifer until after he watches the video. I left her office in a daze. Margaret had died 6 months ago, 3 weeks after her 63rd birthday. Pancreatic cancer had taken her in less than a year from diagnosis to death. She'd been my only family since our parents died in a car accident on the Sea to Sky Highway 15 years ago. She'd been a corporate investigator for 30 years, working fraud cases for insurance companies across British Columbia. If Margaret left me a warning, there was a reason. The Royal Bank branch was only 2 blocks away. I walked through the November rain, my mind spinning. Jennifer and I had been together for 4 years. We'd moved into my house in Kitsilano 2 years ago, right after I sold my software company for $35 million. She'd been supportive, loving, perfect. She worked as a financial analyst at a firm downtown. We met at a charity gala for the BC Cancer Foundation, ironically enough, 2 years before Margaret's diagnosis. The bank manager, a young woman named Susan Chen, verified my identification and led me to the vault. Box 447 was in the bottom row. My hands trembled as I turned the key. Inside was a single item, a sealed manila envelope with my name written in Margaret's shaky handwriting. I recognized it from her final weeks when the cancer had spread to her spine and made writing painful. There was a post-it note stuck to the front in her nurse's handwriting. Margaret dictated this message on October 8th. She said to tell you she loves you and she's sorry. October 8th, 3 days before she died. I sat in the small private viewing room and opened the envelope. Inside was a USB drive, a typed letter on Margaret's office, letterhead, and 3 photographs. The letter began, "Robbie, if you're reading this, I'm gone. I'm so sorry to burden you with this, but I couldn't die knowing you were in danger without trying to protect you." The USB contains security camera footage from my investigation firm's equipment. The footage is time-stamped and legally obtained. Watch it alone. All of it. Then decide what to do. I love you. Don't let them win. M. My heart was pounding. I looked at the photographs before watching the video. The first photo showed Jennifer having lunch with a man I didn't recognize. He was tall, mid-40s, expensive suit. They were holding hands across the table at Blue Water Cafe. The timestamp in the corner read July 22nd, 4 months ago. The second photo showed the same man entering Jennifer's office building downtown. Different day, different clothes. August Reard. The third photo was a marriage certificate. Jennifer Marie Thompson, married to Derek Allen Foster. August 12th, 2019, 5 years ago. 3 years before I met her. My vision blurred. This had to be a mistake. Jennifer's last name was Thompson. She'd told me she'd never been married. She'd shown me her empty ring finger and laughed about being perpetually single before we met. But there it was. Official government seal. Province of Alberta. Married. I inserted the USB drive into the bank's computer with shaking hands. The first video file was dated September 15th. The camera angle showed the interior of what looked like a car. Margaret's voice came from off-screen, testing audio. "Okay, this is working. Robert, I followed Jennifer from your house this morning. Watch what happens next." The camera zoomed in on a coffee shop in Yaletown. Jennifer walked out with 2 cups and got into a black Tesla. The camera followed at a distance. The Tesla drove to a condo building in Cole Harbour, one of the most expensive neighborhoods in Vancouver. Jennifer went inside. 11 minutes later, she came out, without the coffee cups. The next video file made my blood run cold. It was dated September 23rd. The camera was positioned outside a ground-floor condo window, partially obscured by hedges. Through the window, I could see Jennifer and the man from the photos, Derek, sitting at a dining table. The audio was muffled, but Margaret had added subtitles. Derek, how much longer? I'm tired of waiting. Jennifer, we need to be patient. The life insurance policy doesn't pay out for suicide, and we can't have any red flags. Robert trusts me completely. He's already added me to his accounts. Derek, what about the will? Jennifer, I've been working on that. He mentioned wanting to update it before we get engaged. I'll suggest we see my lawyer, the one we worked with in Calgary. Derek, the same one from last time? Jennifer, he knows what to do. Robert won't read the fine print. Men in love never do. I had to pause the video. My chest felt tight. This couldn't be real. Jennifer had asked me just last week about updating my will. She'd said it was responsible, given the size of my estate. She'd recommended a lawyer she knew. I'd thought it was thoughtful. There were 14 more video files. I watched all of them. By the end, I understood everything. Jennifer Thompson and Derek Foster had been married for 5 years. They'd run this scam 3 times before. Derek posed as her financial advisor or business colleague, while Jennifer targeted wealthy single men. They'd successfully defrauded 2 men in Alberta, one for $800,000, another for $2.3 million. Both cases had been settled quietly. The third victim had died before pressing charges. Heart attack, the death certificate said. He was 58 years old and had recently changed his will to leave everything to Jennifer. Margaret's investigation had uncovered it all. Bank records, property transfers, the marriage certificate they'd never dissolved, communications with their lawyer in Calgary, and most damning, conversations about how to kill me. The video dated October 3rd, 1 week before Margaret died, showed Jennifer and Derek in that same Cole Harbor condo. Derek was holding up a small amber bottle. Digitalis, he said, turning it in the light. Heart medication, common, impossible to trace in someone with Robert's family history. My father had died of a heart attack at 62. It was well documented. Jennifer smiled. How much? Small doses, over 3 months. His symptoms will look like cardiac decline, fatigue, irregular heartbeat, shortness of breath. By the time anyone thinks to test for it, it'll be too late. And with his age and family history, no one will question a heart attack. When do we start? After the engagement. Once the will is updated and you're listed as his fiancée, then we begin. He'll be dead within 6 months. I watched Jennifer lean over and kiss him, a long, deep kiss. Then she said, we should test the dosage first, make sure we have it right. On what? There's a stray cat in Robert's neighborhood. Old Tom, hangs around the park. No collar. No one will miss it. I stopped the video. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely remove the USB drive. I sat in that bank viewing room for 20 minutes, trying to process what I'd just learned. Margaret had known. In her final days, dying of cancer, barely able to speak, she'd known my life was in danger, and she'd found a way to warn me. The final document in the envelope was a handwritten note, this one definitely in Margaret's writing, despite how weak it was. Robbie. I hired a PI to follow her after I got suspicious. She asked too many questions about your health, your will, your money. Trust your instincts. Get evidence. Get justice. Be smart. Be safe. I love you, Mags. I drove home in a fog. Jennifer was in the kitchen when I arrived, making dinner. She smiled and kissed me hello. How was your day, darling? You look pale. Are you feeling okay? The concern in her voice sounded so genuine. Just tired, I said. I think I'll skip dinner and go to bed early. I'll make you some chamomile tea, she offered. It'll help you sleep. I watched her fill the kettle, my sister's words echoing in my head. Don't let them win. Get evidence. Be smart. Actually, I'm fine, I said quickly. I'll just take some Advil and lie down. That night, I lay in bed next to her, listening to her breathe, and wondered how many times she'd already poisoned me. Had she started already? Was that why I'd been feeling so tired lately? I'd attributed it to stress from the company sale, from Margaret's death, from grief, but maybe it was digitalis. I waited until Jennifer left for work the next morning before I called Catherine Morrison back. I need to hire a private investigator, I told her. The best one you know. Money is no object. And I need them today. She gave me a name. Patricia Zhao, former RCMP detective, now running her own investigation firm in Richmond. I met her at a Tim Hortons near the airport 2 hours later. I showed her everything. The photos, the videos, the marriage certificate. Patricia watched it all without expression, making notes. When the video of Jennifer and Derek discussing the digitalis ended, she looked up at me. "You need to go to the police," she said. "With what? Conspiracy to commit murder? They haven't actually done anything yet. And I don't have proof they killed that man in Calgary. Just suspicion." "True." She leaned back in her chair. "What do you want from me?" "I want to catch them. I want evidence that will put them away for what they did to the others and for what they're planning to do to me. And I stopped, surprised by the venom in my own voice. "I want them to know they failed. I want them to know Margaret beat them." Patricia studied me for a long moment. "That's going to take time. And risk. You'll have to keep living with her, acting normal, while we build the case. Can you do that?" I thought about Margaret spending her last conscious hours setting this up. About that man in Calgary who died at 58, probably never knowing his fiancée murdered him. "Yes," I said, "I can do that." Over the next 3 weeks, Patricia put together a case that would make a prosecutor weep with joy. She obtained the Calgary police files on the third victim, a developer named Harold Chen, who died of cardiac arrest 2 months after adding Jennifer to his will. The autopsy had been cursory. Patricia had a forensic toxicologist review the tissue samples that had been stored. Digitalis, levels consistent with chronic poisoning. She documented the pattern: Jennifer and Derek's marriage in 2019, the 2 fraud cases in Alberta in 2020 and 2021, Harold Chen's death in 2022, then their move to British Columbia in 2023. 6 months later, Jennifer met me at that cancer charity gala. The timeline was meticulous. The predation was clear. Patricia also placed cameras in my house with my permission, in the kitchen, bedroom, living room, all legally installed in my own home for my own security. "Now we wait," she said. "Based on their timeline with the others, they'll wait until you update your will, then start the poisoning." "Has Jennifer mentioned the will lately?" "3 times this week," I said. "She suggested we go see her lawyer friend next Tuesday." "Perfect. Go to the appointment. But before you do, let's prepare your actual legal defense." I met with my own lawyer, James Liu, at his office in Burnaby. We drafted a new will leaving everything to a charitable foundation in Margaret's name, with a clause specifically excluding anyone I'd been romantically involved with for less than 10 years. We had it notarized and filed. Then I went to Jennifer's lawyer appointment. The office was in a sketchy part of Surrey, which should have been my first red flag. The lawyer was a man named Gordon Reeves, who looked more like a used car salesman than a legal professional. He had a framed certificate from a law school I'd never heard of. Jennifer had coached me on the drive over. Gordon specializes in estate planning for tech entrepreneurs. He'll make sure your assets are protected, and I'm taken care of if anything happens to you. The will Gordon prepared left 70% of my estate to Jennifer, with the remainder split between cancer research and a fund for her future children. It named her as executor and primary beneficiary of my life insurance policy. I signed it. Gordon notarized it with a smile that made my skin crawl. "You're a lucky man," he told me, shaking my hand. "Jennifer here is a real gem. You've made a very wise decision." In the car, Jennifer squeezed my hand. "Thank you for taking care of this," she said. "I know talking about death is morbid, especially after losing Margaret, but it gives me such peace of mind knowing we're prepared for anything." I smiled and told her I loved her. Patricia's cameras caught every word. The poisoning began 4 days later. I started feeling sick on a Saturday morning. Nausea, fatigue, irregular heartbeat. Jennifer was immediately concerned. She insisted I stay in bed, brought me tea, took my temperature. She was the perfect caregiver. Patricia called me that afternoon. The cameras caught her. "This morning at 6:47 a.m., before you woke up, she added something to your coffee grounds. We've got clear footage of her using a dropper bottle. I've sent a sample from your coffee maker to the lab, but I'm betting it's digitalis. What do I do? Dump your coffee every morning before drinking it. Pretend to drink the tea she makes you, but pour it out. We need her to think it's working. Keep track of your symptoms. We'll need that for the prosecution. For 3 weeks, I pretended to slowly die. I became forgetful. I stumbled, going upstairs. I complained about heart palpitations. Jennifer responded with perfect concern. She scheduled doctor's appointments, researched heart specialists, suggested I update my medical directive. Just in case, she said, squeezing my hand. You're probably fine, but with your dad's history. Derek started coming around more often, now introduced as Jennifer's colleague from work who was helping review my insurance policies. He'd sit in my living room, drinking my scotch, asking questions about my assets, while Jennifer watched with concern in her eyes. Patricia's cameras caught everything. Every dose Jennifer added to my coffee, every conversation about my declining health, every discussion of the will and the insurance money. On November 18th, they made their mistake. I'd pretended to have a particularly bad episode, clutching my chest, gasping for air. Jennifer called 911, playing the panicked girlfriend perfectly. The paramedics checked me over, said my vitals were borderline but not critical, suggested I follow up with my cardiologist. After they left, Jennifer called Derek. She thought I was sleeping upstairs, exhausted from the episode. Patricia's kitchen camera caught it all. That was close, Jennifer said into her phone. The paramedics almost admitted him. No, he's sleeping now. I don't know. Maybe we need to increase the dose. Derek, I can't wait much longer. He's getting suspicious. Last night he asked me why you're here so often. We need to finish this. There was a long pause while she listened. Fine. But I'm not the one who's going to do it. You come over tomorrow night, we'll do it together. Massive dose in his evening tea. He'll die in his sleep. Heart attack. Just like we planned. Yes, the will is filed. Yes, I'm the executor. Gordon confirmed. Everything is legal. Another pause. I love you too, she said softly. After this, we're done. No more marks. We take the money and disappear to Costa Rica like we planned. Just you, me, and $35 million. She hung up. I listened from the top of the stairs as she hummed while washing dishes. My dishes. In my kitchen. In the house I'd bought with money she was planning to steal after murdering me. I called Patricia immediately. Within an hour, we had a plan. The next evening, I played my part perfectly. I came home from a doctor's appointment, looking exhausted and worried. Jennifer was sympathetic. She'd made beef stew, my favorite. Derek showed up around 7 p.m. with a bottle of wine to check on me. We ate dinner. We talked about my health. Derek suggested I should consider long-term care options, just in case your condition deteriorates. Jennifer held my hand and said she'd take care of me no matter what. At 8:30 p.m., Jennifer made tea. I watched her go into the kitchen. The camera Patricia had installed in the spice cabinet had a perfect angle. Later, the footage would show Jennifer opening a small amber bottle from her purse and measuring out a dropper full of clear liquid into my mug. Not the usual 3 drops. Not even 10 drops. She squeezed the entire dropper into the tea. Then another dropper full. Then another. She stirred it carefully and brought it to me with a loving smile. Chamomile with honey. Just how you like it. I took the mug. It was warm in my hands. Thank you, sweetheart. Derek was watching me carefully. Drink up, he said. You need to rest. I raised the mug to my lips. You know what? I'm actually not in the mood for tea. My stomach's been upset all day. I set it down on the coffee table. Jennifer's smile faltered for just a second. But darling, it'll help you sleep. I know, but I think I'll just go to bed. Derek, thanks for coming by. Jennifer, can you walk him out? I'm going to head upstairs. I climbed the stairs slowly, made a show of exhaustion, and went into the bedroom. I left the door open a crack. The camera Patricia had installed in the hallway bookshelf had clear audio. I heard their voices from downstairs. Jennifer, he didn't drink it. Derek, give him a sleeping pill, crush it in juice. When he's out, we'll put the tea in an IV drip. Slow administration, same effect. Jennifer, I have lorazepam in my bag. Derek, perfect. An hour from now, he'll be unconscious. By morning, he'll be dead. Heart failure in his sleep. The paramedics already documented his episodes. The doctor will sign off on cardiac arrest without question. I heard footsteps on the stairs. I quickly lay down on the bed, fully clothed, and closed my eyes. Jennifer came in. I heard her rummaging in her purse, then footsteps going back downstairs. A few minutes later, she returned. "Robbie," she whispered, "I brought you some juice. You should drink something, honey." I pretended to be asleep. "Robert?" Louder now. She shook my shoulder gently. I made a groggy sound. Here, drink this. Just orange juice. It'll help stabilize your blood sugar." I sat up, took the glass. In the dim light, I could see small particles that hadn't dissolved completely at the bottom. I pretended to drink, tilting my head back while keeping my lips closed. When I lowered the glass, it was still nearly full. "Not very thirsty," I mumbled. "Gonna sleep now." I lay back down. Jennifer stood there for a moment, then took the glass. "I'll leave it on your nightstand in case you wake up thirsty." She kissed my forehead. "Sleep well, my love." I heard her footsteps retreat. The bedroom door closed. Then her voice, quieter now, probably from the hallway. "He won't drink anything." "I don't know." "No, I can't force him. He'll know something's wrong." I waited 5 minutes. Then I got up, poured the juice into a sealed evidence bag Patricia had given me, and texted her. "They're trying tonight. Full dose in the tea. Sleeping pills and juice. I have samples of both." Patricia replied immediately. "Police are standing by. Give me 10 more minutes to get Derek on camera making the admission. Stay in your room. Lock the door." I locked the door and waited. Downstairs, I could hear them talking. The hallway camera picked it up clearly. "Derek, we can't wait any longer. The longer he lives, the higher the risk." "Jennifer, what if we just do it now? Smother him with a pillow, make it look like he died in his sleep." "Derek, too risky. Petechial hemorrhaging in the eyes. Any half-decent medical examiner would catch it." "Jennifer, then what?" "Derek, we stick with the original plan. Tomorrow morning, you make his coffee extra strong, triple dose. He drinks it like he does every morning. Within 3 hours, his heart stops. You call 911, crying, devastated. They pronounce him dead at the scene. Natural causes. You inherit everything. And the investigation? There won't be one. His doctor has been documenting his cardiac episodes. His father died the same way. It's a clean kill, Jennifer. Just like Harold Chen in Calgary." "God, I can't wait for this to be over," Jennifer said. "I'm so tired of pretending to care about his boring software stories and his dead sister and his stupid cat." I had a cat, a 12-year-old tabby named Chester that Margaret had given me years ago. Jennifer had always been sweet to Chester. Gave him treats, scratched behind his ears. "Soon," Derek said. 48 hours from now, you're a widow. 3 months after that, the estate clears probate. 6 months from now, we're in Costa Rica. With $35 million, Jennifer said. I could hear the smile in her voice, minus Gordon's cut. "But 30 million is plenty." They laughed. Actually laughed. That's when the front door burst open. "Vancouver police, search warrant, hands where I can see them." I unlocked my bedroom door and walked to the top of the stairs. 6 officers had flooded into my living room. Jennifer and Derek were on their knees, hands behind their heads, faces white with shock. Detective Sarah Reeves, who Patricia had coordinated with, spotted me. "Mr. Morrison, are you all right?" "I'm fine," I said. My voice was steady. "Everything you need is on camera and in the evidence bags I prepared. The lab results on the coffee samples should be back tomorrow." Jennifer looked up at me then. The mask had dropped completely. Her face was twisted with rage. "You knew? How long have you known?" I walked down the stairs slowly. I wanted her to see my face. "My sister told me," I said. 6 months ago. She investigated you. She found everything. The marriage to Derek, the fraud cases in Alberta, Harold Chen's murder. She died knowing you were planning to kill me, and she made sure I'd survive." "That's impossible," Derek said. "We were careful. You were sloppy," I interrupted. "You used the same lawyer 3 times. You kept the same pattern. You got greedy, and you underestimated a dying woman who loved her brother enough to spend her final days protecting him." Jennifer's expression changed from rage to calculation. "The footage is illegally obtained. It won't hold up in court." "The footage from Margaret's investigation firm? Legally obtained with proper licensing. The footage from cameras in my own house? Legal surveillance of my own property. The samples from my coffee maker? My own property, tested at my request." I looked at Detective Reeves. "I believe you'll also want to test the orange juice in the evidence bag upstairs. I'm fairly certain it contains lorazepam." "We'll test everything," Reeves confirmed. She turned to her officers. "Jennifer Thompson and Derek Foster, you're under arrest for conspiracy to commit murder, attempted murder, and as material witnesses in the death of Harold Chen. You have the right to remain silent." I didn't stay to watch them being led away. I went to my study, sat in Margaret's old leather chair that I'd moved to my house after she died, and wept. For Margaret, who'd spent her last days saving me. For Harold Chen, who died not knowing the truth. For my own stupidity in not seeing what was right in front of me. For Chester, who was now hiding under the couch, terrified by all the police presence. For the life I'd thought I had, which turned out to be nothing but lies. The investigation moved quickly after that. The lab confirmed digitalis in my coffee grounds, enough to kill me 3 times over if I'd been drinking it regularly. The orange juice tested positive for crushed lorazepam tablets. Patricia's footage showed Jennifer adulterating my food on 17 separate occasions over 3 weeks. The Calgary police exhumed Harold Chen. The tissue analysis showed digitalis levels consistent with chronic poisoning. His fiancée, at the time of death, Jennifer Thompson, who'd inherited $4.2 million from his estate. The Alberta fraud victims came forward with additional testimony. Gordon Reeves, the fake lawyer in Surrey, turned on Jennifer and Derek to save himself, providing evidence of their entire operation going back 6 years. Derek Foster, it turned out, wasn't even a real financial advisor. He'd been a small-time con artist. Jennifer met in prison while serving 18 months for credit card fraud. They'd fallen in love and decided to go big. The trial lasted 3 weeks. I testified for 6 hours about how Jennifer had manipulated her way into my life, targeted me at a charity event, positioned herself as the perfect partner, about how she'd used my grief over Margaret to rush our relationship, how she'd isolated me from my few remaining friends while pretending to be supportive. The prosecution played the videos, all of them. The jury watched Jennifer discuss dosages and timelines. They heard Derek laugh about me being dead within 6 months. They saw Jennifer measure out the lethal dose of digitalis into my tea while I sat in the next room. The defense tried to argue entrapment, illegal surveillance, unreliable evidence, but the pattern was too clear. 4 victims, 1 dead, millions stolen, a marriage they'd hidden while Jennifer pretended to be single. Jennifer Thompson received 25 years for murder in the 2nd degree for Harold Chen's death, plus 15 years for attempted murder of me, to be served consecutively. Derek Foster got 30 years as an accomplice. Gordon Reeves received 10 years for fraud and conspiracy. I sold my house in Kitsilano. Too many bad memories. I bought a smaller condo in Victoria and adopted 2 cats from the SPCA, senior cats that no one else wanted. I named them Margaret and James, after my sister and my father. The $35 million from my company sale funds the Margaret Morrison Foundation for Cancer Research now. Every dollar Jennifer thought she'd inherit is going to help people like my sister. There's a certain poetry in that. I think about Margaret often, how she must have felt, dying of cancer, knowing I was in danger, and unable to tell me face to face. How she'd gathered her last reserves of strength to hire an investigator, compile evidence, leave me that key. She saved my life with her final act. That's love. That's real family. Jennifer had faked love for 4 years, playing a role, waiting for the right moment to strike. But she'd made one critical mistake. She'd underestimated the bond between a brother and sister. She'd thought grief would make me vulnerable, that loneliness would make me blind. She'd been wrong. Sometimes I take out the USB drive and Margaret's letter. I don't watch the videos anymore. They're evidence, carefully stored with my lawyer. But I read her note. The last words my sister ever wrote, "Don't let them win." I didn't, Mags. Thanks to you, I didn't. The detective who investigated Harold Chen's case called me last month. They'd found 2 more potential victims in Ontario. Men who died of heart attacks after dating women matching Jennifer's description between 2017 and 2019 before she met Derek. The cases are being reviewed. I think about Harold sometimes. He was 58, successful, probably lonely. He met a beautiful woman who seemed perfect. He trusted her. He added her to his will. He died thinking she loved him. At least I had Margaret. At least I had warning. Harold had no one to save him. That's what I think about when people ask me if I'm angry. Angry doesn't cover it. I'm grateful to be alive. I'm devastated by betrayal. I'm proud that justice was served. But most of all, I'm grateful for Margaret. True family protects you, even from beyond the grave. If someone you love, really love, not someone you've just been dating for a few years, warns you about your partner, listen to them. If your instincts tell you something is off, pay attention. And for God's sake, if someone is rushing you to change your will, ask yourself why. Margaret couldn't save Harold Chen, but she saved me, and the evidence she gathered might save others by keeping Jennifer and Derek locked away for decades. That's her legacy. Not the cancer that killed her, not the pain she endured, but the brother she saved and the evil she stopped. I visit her grave every Sunday at Mountain View Cemetery. I bring fresh flowers and tell her about my week. I tell her about the Foundation's progress. We've funded 12 research projects so far. I tell her about the cats, about the quiet life I'm building in Victoria, and I thank her every single time. Because that's what family does. They protect you, they warn you, they save you, even when it costs them everything, even when they're dying, even when you don't know you need saving. Margaret knew, and she made sure I'd survive to tell the story. That's love. Real, unconditional, fierce love. Jennifer and Derek thought love was a weakness they could exploit. They were wrong. Love, true love, is the strongest weapon of all.